Chapter 11. The Picnic. After lunch, Dylan and Wade lounged on the blanket. It seemed a blanket wasn't such a bad idea. But Jessie, unable to stay still for long, explored. Sky sat, cross-legged, on the edge of the blanket as she side-eyed the men. "I seriously need to bring two next time." She turned her attention to the gorgeous view in front of her. The overlook's sizable grassy field dropped away as one neared its edge. Below that, raw rocky soil formed cracks and fissures down the face of the small mountain. Sky's gaze roamed over the quiet town below, as well as the low mountains stretching as far as she could see in either direction. Water burbled to the right, and she told herself to ask Dylan how large the river was when she woke up. Right now, Sky wanted a little nap. Sky lightly pushed at Dylan so he would give her enough room to lie down. The sun warmed her cheeks as she stretched out, and the wind gently brushed across her. A bird called from above, and Sky squinted up. There were two. She turned to ask Dylan what kind they were. Jessie noticed the birds too. His face tipped to the sky as he backed up, keeping them in sight. Sky opened her mouth to call him closer to her. He was too close to the edge for her comfort. Wide-eyed, Jessie stared at the dirt at his feet. Sheer terror covered his face as he threw out his arms. He disappeared in a small upward blast of powdered soil. A bolt of white shock ripped through Sky. She tore at the ground, pushing off it into a run. She gasped and screamed as she ran. "Jessie!" Then she screamed for Dylan.
Somewhere in the comfortable haze of Dylan's light doze, something shifted. Even before Sky moved and uttered her first shrill scream, he had stirred. He and Wade went from resting to sprinting so quick it was barely perceivable. They communicated without a word as they raced to the edge. A nod from Dylan meant Wade needed to keep Sky from seeing what could be over the side. Sky was almost to the brink. And at the speed she flew, Dylan questioned her ability to keep from plunging over herself. He reached to grab her arm just as Wade caught her around the waist and threw himself backward. Desperate and angry, Sky fought for her freedom as she screamed Jessie's name. Wade held Sky tight as Dylan picked his way across the shaky ground. Dylan lay flat and peered over the edge. He desperately wanted the boy to be okay, by some miracle. But he knew this mountain, this cliff. The odds of that were slim to none.
Sky realized what the men feared, and it fueled her terror. She could not get control of herself. One piece of her fought and screamed. Another part, the doctor part, told her all the reasons she had to calm down. But it wasn't working. Dylan's voice, hard and sharp as the crack of a whip, cut through her turbulent thoughts. "Sky, stop." It's what she needed. She quieted to a soft sobbing. "He's there. Hanging on." Ears still ringing from her own screams, she wasn't sure she heard correctly until Jessie's voice echoed up to them. "Mom?" Her hands went to her mouth, and her wide, scared eyes flew to Dylan. Dylan kept his voice gentle. "You ain't comin' over here if you can't control yourself. I can't worry about you too." "Yes, I understand." Sky pushed at Wade's arms. "Sky, crawl low and slow. You got it?" Dylan stared, taking in her wild expression. "Sky. I will. I understand. I'll be good. I promise." Sky would have agreed with anything to get to that edge. Wade released her when Dylan nodded at him. With great care, Sky made her way to the rim as Dylan called down to Jessie. Sky's stomach rolled when she peered over the edge. It was a long drop. There was no way one small 10-year-old boy would survive it. Jessie clung to a protruding rock about 10 feet below, arms wrapped tight around the stone. His fingers clawed the only solid thing available, but his feet dangled over air. Sky whimpered. "Steady." Dylan grabbed Sky's hand, squeezing it hard. It told her all she needed to know about his nerves. Dylan looked at Wade and blew out a breath. Then said to Sky, I am gonna need your help. You'll be okay? She squared her shoulders. Yes, just tell me what to do. Okay. Wade and I are gonna lower to that ledge. We should be able to reach him from there. I think it'll hold. But if it doesn't, you know what you gotta do. Sky's eyes filled as she shook her head. Don't talk like that. Not now. Dylan put a hand under her chin. His voice insistent. Yes, now. You get in that jeep and you don't stop till you're at Tom's. Sky raised a trembling hand to brush away a tear and nodded. Okay, I will. I'll get help. Dylan heaved a sigh. If that shelf doesn't hold, we won't be here for anyone to help. I gotta know you'll be safe, that you'll go straight to Tom. A sob escaped Sky. She scrubbed her eyes, she knew what Dylan needed to hear. I will. I'll go straight there. Sky grabbed Dylan's hand and searched his face. Dylan? It'll be fine. Everything will be fine. Now go save our boy. Okay, lay here. We may need to pass Jesse up to you. Mom? Jesse's sob echoed from below. He was so small, so frightened. Sky squeezed her eyes shut and attempted to control her cold, trembling body. Finally, trusting her voice to sound strong for the boy, Sky called out. Jesse, it's okay, baby. Hang on, they're coming. Dylan and Wade are coming to get you. Okay. His tiny, shaking voice trailed off. The men talked to Jesse in a calm tone as they lowered themselves over the edge, telling Jesse how tough he was, reminding him of everything he had gone through and reassuring him he would make it through this too. Everyone held their breath when they jumped the last few feet onto the ledge. When it held, the adults slumped in relief. Dylan put a hand to his side and winced. The exertion clearly strained his injury. But that was a problem for later. The first step was successful. The ledge supported Dylan and Wade, now it was time to save Jesse.